Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community, brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to share education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome.
Welcome to episode 56 of the PWS United podcast. This is a very special episode. We'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to welcome Carrie, my co-host. How are you doing, Carrie?
Hi, Annie. I'm great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Been up early, as you know, dealing with a skunked dog. So it's just kind of permeating the house, and the girls, it's their first day of school, and we had every scented candle in the house on the table lit, and they looked like they were doing like a seance or something.
was just picturing that.
I told him, I was like, you better not
Amazing.
conjure anything, okay? The skunk was enough.
Right? The
So,
skunk's enough. That'll do it for my day. Oh man, Annie, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And on first day of school and prepping for a trip. And that's just a lot at once. So you were in full mama mode, I'm sure.
yeah.
Just helping everyone, plus the
Oh,
dog.
yeah. But anyway, that was my morning.
Amazing.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I am prepping for an incredible trip. I'm so excited, and I feel like there's a lot to do before I go, but we're slowly chipping away at the to-do list. But yeah, I will be leaving for Europe in 2 weeks, for 2 weeks. So you won't hear me on the podcast for a little bit, but
And she won't hear
yeah.
from us at all. No communication disasters. Nothing will
Yep,
reach her ears. She will not be thinking
everything
of PWSA at all.
everything's gonna go super well here. I'm putting it out in the universe,
Mhm.
and it's gonna stick. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be an amazing trip. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait. I I went to Europe once when I was young, but again, too young to appreciate anything. So this time I'm really going with a lot of intent to learn and really soak in the culture and every experience. So, yeah, it's good to do things as you get older, like important things,
Mhm.
really appreciate it more. So, I
Yeah.
can't wait, and I can't wait to share some of the fun when I get back
Yeah.
after the gala. Because I
Yes.
literally land, Annie, I land from Europe, and then I have 1 day to kind of get back in, I don't even know, normal-ish mode, and then the next morning, I fly to St. Louis for our 50th gala. So,
That
if
is
you see me there,
insane.
I might be disheveled, like I just dealt with a skunk, but I will just have a lot of jet lag, so
Oh my
I
god, that jet.
apologize if I can't speak well.
Yeah, don't have, no high expectations of Carrie
Yeah, just
for a
low
while.
expectations for me, guys. Thank you in advance.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, it's gonna be a wonderful trip. I'm very excited for you. And if you have an issue with marketing communications between September 8th and September 20th or something, just keep it to
Basically,
yourself.
like, 28th, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Just keep it to yourself.
We'll
We'll
be
go
back
tip.
on top of our game in October, yeah. Stay
Oh,
tuned.
yeah. But before your trip,
Yeah.
we have a very exciting anniversary to
Mhm.
celebrate. It has been 1 year of weekly podcasts from
Woo!
PWSA. Incredible.
Incredible. Amazing, awesome, love it, all the things, and I also realize I say those words often, all those words very often while we do these episodes, so there they are again.
I know editing podcasts where you are one of the hosts really
Mhm.
provides some self-reflection on
It
your
really
speaking
does.
style.
Like, I need a wider vocabulary. Need to go back to school. But it is. It's so incredible that we have been doing this for a whole year, Annie. I'm very selfishly proud of us to start.
Yeah, we
And I'm
should
proud
be.
of our team and all of our volunteers who, help us week to week to make sure something gets out. And as in terms of content for the Pulse, because everybody has a hand in that, all the way to helping us get interviews and the great interviewees that come on and
Yeah.
speak with us, and there's been some amazing ones. So, yeah, just big thank yous all around.
Yeah, to all of our listeners, to the staff and the volunteers, like you said, everybody that's helping out. And I definitely want to give a special big thank you to our communications work group who helped with this episode.
Mhm,
We have 10 clips that we're going to share today. So we're this is like a look back over the last
mhm.
year. And as I was going through these episodes, I was just like, wow, we have put out some incredible content for the community and just what a fantastic resource. Yeah, so we asked our work group. I gave them a list of the 10 episodes that I wanted to cover. These are our most downloaded episodes, and they really show a nice variety of what it is that we're doing here. And so our work group, everybody took an episode and they listened through it, and then they sent us the clips that they thought we should highlight. So that's what we're doing. So thank you so much to our work group for just all that you do and for especially helping on this episode because it would have been a lot. And it was nice to
Yeah.
get different perspective. Like
Mhm.
you and I could have gone through and chosen our clips, but it's nice to hear from people who are just listeners.
Right.
It has been fun and interesting. It's been satisfying on a creative level,
Yeah.
and it's been a lot of work.
A lot of work is a great way to put it, Annie. I think, especially on your end, because you edit a majority of these episodes and people are coming to you with just amazing ideas.
hmm
Um, But it takes, research, it takes connecting with the person they want interviewed and scheduling a time to talk and then coming up with questions. Like, there's so many different layers and pieces to just one episode, and we do one every week. So I think just kudos to you for being willing to take on all that work plus other work. And, just seeing, I think, the community's reaction and feedback to it has been really, really special to hear and to see, especially when we were at the conference. I had at least 5 people come up and say how much they loved the podcast and how grateful they were that we started one and that they have something new to listen to weekly and just a different way to absorb content. I think there's so many different communications channels, and we use basically all of them,
Yeah.
especially now with the podcast, but this one is definitely a fun one that we can kind of be free with and open with and, have new insight on. So, yeah, and I just personally like the more casual tone to this
Yes.
kind of communication. So, it resonates with me on a personal and profound level that way, but you can see that the community appreciates it too, which
Yeah.
is wonderful. I just wish that we could reach even more people, and I hope we will. I think we will. Um,
Yeah. And you know how we do that is by people telling their friends and
yeah.
family about it.
Start spreading the word, friends.
Start spreading the
Keep spreading the
word.
word. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep spreading the word. And if you haven't, we'll get into that at the end, but just, those ratings and reviews, we can talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
Why they're
They're
important.
important. Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but yeah, let's go ahead and get in. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, or should we get into our clips?
No, let's get into the clips.
This first clip is from episode 37, and this was our Ask Nurse Lynn, and we talked about growth hormone and skin picking and GLP-1s, and this came from April 15th, 2025. So many, if not most or all of you, have heard of Nurse Lynn. She's our PWS advice nurse. She is also our PWSA staff song coach and the the brains behind Ask Nurse Lynn, which is our weekly non-emergency medical advice column. And I'll say she's the brains behind it, but also sometimes she
Mhm.
reaches out to specialists just to get a clearer answer. So thank you to the medical professionals who weigh in on some of their responses. But yeah, so we invited her on the podcast to discuss some of the recurring topics that people write in about. And this clip we're about to listen to is about the importance of growth hormone treatment and how it may affect or be affected by puberty.
So we do know that growth hormone, up until very recently, was the only approved treatment for Prader-Willi syndrome. And we know that it helps not only to promote the linear height of our folks, improve their body composition, their muscle tone, cognition, metabolic things too, that all supports that. So growth hormone is just a key. It's a standard of care to have folks on growth hormone these days. And there's no really one size fits all kind of dosing. There are some standardized formulas that the endocrinologist uses, but there's also a lot of different labs and family history that needs to be taken into account before prescribing the right dose for growth hormone.
I just learned because I was trying to get Freya's growth hormone increased, but she just started the estradiol patch. And so we're waiting because I guess the estrogen can potentially help her body
Yeah.
assimilate the
So
growth hormone better.
part of the prescribing lab, when we're looking at lab values and in the big picture of growth hormone, they're drawing labs called IGF and IGF-BP3, and that stands for insulin like growth factor 1. That's the IGF-1, and the IGF-BP3 is the insulin like growth factor binding protein. So when you're talking about starting other hormones like estrogen, or if you're looking at someone that has hypothyroidism, these hormonal imbalances, or now that you're going to be supplementing with estrogen, they can alter the IGF-1 levels and the IGF-BP3 levels. So think about all of these things being hormone driven, and that's why there's so many labs that go into prescribing growth hormone and looking at things to make sure everything's in balance and we're getting the right dosage.
All great information. All of Ask Nurse Lynn's information is incredible that she puts out and helps us with and the community with. But this is definitely a topic that has been coming up frequently. It's been a huge
Hmm.
topic in the PWS community for the last 25 years. But it's important to continue to bring it up and ask questions around it, I think, so that it stays top of mind. It
Hmm.
continues to promote the importance and basically that it's essentially a standard of care at this point. And for new families, just getting their diagnosis, just how important it is to start growth hormone for their loved one as early as possible. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm glad that this question comes in.
Yeah. Well, and then this one in particular about how puberty plays a
Right.
part because there is so much information. So I think it is another reason it's important to keep talking about this stuff is because, Freya's 13, so I've been doing this a
Mhm.
while, but still like there's still so much that I don't know because I'm not there yet. So it's
Right.
important to like for parents because you just can't take it all in the beginning. And so it's important to
Right.
keep revisiting this stuff because when you're in that place, when you need to learn more about skin picking interventions or growth hormone or whatever, like it's important that it keeps coming around because you're not always ready when they're little.
New things come up, every year after year, just
Hmm.
like for people in general, but especially for loved ones living with PWS. There's new questions that arise, I would say, constantly as they get older. And even something with growth hormone that you started, so long ago,
Right.
how does it affect this new time in their life and this new thing that they're going through? And then the next new thing, like how does it affect that? So,
Yeah.
yeah, important to keep revisiting and asking those questions, like you said. And as always, a big shout out to our amazing nurse, Lynn Garrick, for her expertise and just being on board with doing this,
Yeah.
answering all these questions.
I know, I
Um,
love it that because I at first I was like, "Oh, did we just make more work for her?" And sometimes I feel like that, but she loves it anytime we check in. She's like, "I love this. I love
Mhm.
the question." She loves the opportunity to learn even more about PWS and to dive into these certain topics, and she loves to be helpful. So, we
Yeah,
appreciate her for sure.
right. Such a great column to add to our resources that we put out. So, moving on now to our next clip. It is from episode 35. It's our PWS and sibling support episode that was put out on April 1st. 2025. And it featured our parent support coordinator, Christy Rickenbach, along with a couple board members and PWS parents. And that was Lisa Lamb and Denise Service. They all opened up about how to parent the siblings of those with PWS and the challenges and then the feelings of getting it wrong, over managing social situations, putting too much responsibility on the sibling, and then some other feelings of inadequacies. This clip is specifically about managing time spent with siblings and the need for quality time.
I think that trying to manage all of that, trying to make sure that the siblings get the attention they need, the love, that they need and desire, but without sending them possibly into bad behaviors or bad habits, or because we do everything for them, right? To try to compensate. So it's a very tightrope that we are forced to walk to try to do this. And there will be mistakes, right? So, but hopefully we can help other families not make the same mistakes that we made.
Yeah.
And that topic of attention, it was just a topic. It's been a reoccurring topic in our family. Maya gets so much attention. You're always with Maya, blah, 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 and I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. It's like, okay, well, I gave Maya 5 hours, so I got to give my other kids 5 hours. And finally I felt so exhausted, but then I finally realized, it's not the amount of time, it's the quality of time. If I even give the kids, my Maddie and Mallory, just 10 minutes, and we just talk, or we go to the store together and we're just doing something together and we're connecting. That's all they want. They're not asking for me to take them somewhere on a fancy trip or anything. They just want my attention. And if it's 10 minutes, sure, they like it if it's longer, but it's still important to them. And that's what I didn't quite get. I just thought it was the amount of time, but it's not. It's really the quality of time.
It's definitely the quality, and it's definitely making sure that they're heard, right? So when they're talking, like making sure that you find that kind of quiet space where you can listen to their concerns versus like having your other kids or, just whatever be around where they can't talk freely, right? So again, that car ride to a sporting event or at the store or whatever it's really important. And it's really important to try to schedule that time in no matter how hard it is.
So important. You have two other daughters aside from Freya. How did this kind of resonate with you after listening to what they had to say?
Well, I appreciated the clarity of quality time versus quantity of time. Because sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day, and the reality is that Freya does get more of my attention lengthwise. So
Right.
it definitely will have to solidify and just reinforce that, like really creating those spaces for the other siblings. Sometimes it's a really delicate balancing act, trying to make time for all of them and who gets to do what with mama. But yeah, it's just also nice to know that you're not the only one struggling with it. I think it's easy when you don't talk to other people about it or you don't hear from other families how it's going. It's easy to think like, oh, well, I'm screwing this up. And then you get to learn like, oh no, we're all screwing it up.
It's a collective effort. Yeah.
No, that we're not screwing up, that we're all doing our best and we're all
Right.
facing similar situations. So you
Yeah.
guys, you're not messing it up.
No, I love that about this podcast is that we do hear from people with real experiences and personal trials and tribulations, and maybe even how they've tried to overcome them and things that have worked for them. And it'll always be a resource because you can find episodes, they're always going to be on our site. You can go back, find a topic that resonates and get that advice and just get that feeling of, oh my gosh, I totally feel this. Like I connect with this so personally and so profoundly. So yeah, I love that this podcast gives that opportunity and gives that feeling out there. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Which is a word that I say a lot. I've learned.
which one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to move on to episode 3. This was one of the ones we launched with, Advocating for Change, a conversation with Dorothea Lance. So we, of course, as a community, are very blessed to have Dorothea Lance and the passion she puts into advocacy and how she inspires families from all corners of our community to participate in advocacy work for our loved ones. So this was, again, one of the episodes that we launched with, and I think it is a testament to Dorothea and the incredible advocates that we constantly have new advocacy news to share. They are a dedicated, passionate, and hard-working group of people, and we are grateful for all of them. So this clip we're about to share is about the effectiveness of showing up and of people with PWS themselves using their voice to advocate.
But most importantly, we had somewhere between 35 to 39 individuals living with Prader-Willi syndrome join us in DC to have their voices heard. And I'm saying that because although we had a lot of, good handful of individuals living with PWS join us at the last DC fly-in, this one was different. We had ages ranging from under the age of 2 years old to one individual living with PWS who had just turned 50. The reason that that's important is because so many of these individuals who are living with PWS have not only never had an opportunity to have their voices heard, but never had an opportunity to have their voices heard on this level. And one of the things that we've done over the past year that really brought this home was the externally led patient-focused drug development meeting that we did last June. And the feedback that we got from FDA after their participation in that meeting was that they hadn't ever had an opportunity to truly hear from an individual living with PWS. And the reviewers who were listening in on that meeting were extremely impacted by what it's like to hear from an individual living with PWS. So to be able to bring that voice in person to DC and have individuals living with this rare disease meet with their elected officials and meet with the staff in their elected officials' offices. It's not something that many rare disease patients have an opportunity to do, and it was incredibly special. So not only did we almost triple the amount of attendees and add an additional 10 or 11 states to the states in this nation that were represented for PWS, but we were able to give individuals living with this disease their voice. And it was humbling. And as a parent and as a caregiver, and as a parent of a child living with PWS who does not yet speak, I think that was one of the things that moved me the most.
Yeah, I really love that last part.
Mhm.
That, when she talks about that being the voice for your child who can't yet speak and just how important that is, and something that I think a lot of people take for granted, maybe.
Yeah, it's a really powerful message. I think anytime Dorothea comes on the podcast and speaks, I'm like, whoa, keep talking, keep inspiring. Don't
Yep.
ever stop. Yeah. Yeah, the advocacy efforts that have happened over the last several years are something to really truly be proud of, and it's really a testament to the community stepping up and joining our advocacy efforts and joining the advocacy work group. I think I heard the other day that there was like maybe 100 names on the advocacy work group list now, which is
Wow, that's awesome.
wild. Yes. It's amazing. And to be able, like Dorothea said, triple the size of the DC fly-in event that had only been in its second year at that point
Uh-huh.
is just amazing. So I could sit and talk about advocacy and all the great work the advocates are doing all day long. I do want to say really quick, this was the first episode I ever edited, like of any podcast in my whole life. And I was just kind of reverting back to how I felt in the moment. And I was so excited about it. And I edited it and I went through and I cleaned up as many of like the ums that we said and whatever, put it out, it posted, and I listened to it in the car, and Dorothea's audio was so quiet compared to mine. I'm
Oh.
like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do? Like, this sounds terrible." So, it was a big learning moment, and then Annie taught me about Auphonic, and, we've never had an issue since. So,
Yes, I love
just a little behind
Alphonic.
the scenes workings of, my first attempt that I felt like I completely botched, but
Oh, no, you
we
didn't.
learn and grow. Learn and grow. And yeah, it's not terrible. It's just me in my head. Yeah. A little backstory.
We are our own worst critics.
Always. Always. All right. So our next clip that you'll hear is from our PWS BIPOC Affinity Group episode, which the group is now called Colors of Hope, that I just want to put that out. Yeah. And this one aired on August 30th, 2024. This was an episode we were so excited to launch, Annie. I remember when we first got the interview secured, and after you interviewed them, we kind of met and talked through it, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, this one is going to be amazing." And you said you learned so much and you were just like giddy. So,
I loved it. It was so
yeah.
good. Yeah, it was a great opportunity, and I learned a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity for growth and learning, and
Mhm.
if you're
And in
open-minded.
turn, right. And in turn, I think the community did too, because it was, yeah, unique voices and speaking to, I think, the differences in, different experiences and challenges that come with PWS that a lot of people don't see and hear about. So I, again, just love that this platform allows us to have conversations like this. So, this episode was with two amazing parents, Deanie Rao and Janelle Conway, and they're both co-founders of the Colors of Hope group, along with a few other people in the community. But they came on and talked about their experiences. And as mentioned, it was quite a learning experience for us and hopefully for our listeners as well. Deanie and Janelle discussed some experiences and some challenges for people of color in the medical and PWS world, and how people can be allies in their own lives and public spaces. So, the following clip is a montage of some key points from this conversation. It's the images medical professionals see of PWS and implicit bias, building trust, and how white allies can show up in support.
We weren't able to get a diagnosis for so long. And I think there are a couple of things at play. One is that there is a visual image that a lot of people in the medical community have about what a Prader-Willi kid looks like. And that's fed by the literature that shows, they think blonde hair, blue eyes, they think fairer skin than the rest of the family. And while those things may be true in white children, they're not true in babies of color. So they don't even have the kind of mental image to be able to pull from. And we all know that the process of diagnosis has as much art to it as, unfortunately, as science. And so you're relying on a lot of things that in people's implicit bias. The structures are the ones that we need to say, okay, do we need newborn screenings? Do we need to show different faces? Do we need, what are all the things that we can do rather than so-and-so's bad or why haven't we done this? Let's focus on what can be done.
Especially when it comes to building trust so that people of color can feel part of the community included, and that comes to being intentional about ensuring they're considered. And I like what you say, Deanie. Sometimes it's like, or what I've heard oftentimes is, yeah, you don't see color, then that means you don't see us, and you don't see the absence of us.
Especially what I would love to hear white listeners of this podcast do is when there are going to be folks out there who are going to say, why do we need this BIPOC affinity group? Isn't that reverse racism? Why are we putting resources into this, right? There's going to be so many, unfortunately, just by the fact that we create something that isn't taking away from anybody else, people are going to have issues with it. So what I would love is for folks to go into the notes of this show and to listen to some of those resources. They're wonderful resources, and I'm not going to be able to do them justice. The Seeing White podcasts and books we'll recommend and things like that. How to Talk About Race. That's a fabulous book. And get comfortable. Start having those conversations. When you hear people in these places talk about it, say, well, here's why we need it. That's one of because we're not always in those rooms, and we're certainly not in those conversations, right? So look around the room and say, who's not represented here? Who needs to be in the room, and how can I be a voice for them because I'm in the room?
Get comfortable. I love it. It should be like the tagline.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would have been a good one. Yeah, I again encourage people, if you're listening to the podcast, you know where to find it. And just go back towards the beginning. It's episode 5 and go into those show notes because there are a lot of great resources and other podcasts to listen to. And yeah, it was a great conversation. And I really liked what Janelle said. If, for people who say they don't see color, well, then you don't see me. I think that's an interesting perspective to put on it that people don't often think about. And that one really hit me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really appreciated that whole conversation.
Yeah, I really encourage everyone to go listen to the full thing if you have not done so already, or revisit it, at any point in time. I think it has a lot of great refreshers, great reminders. And as Annie mentioned, so many great resources in the show notes there. So thank you so much to Deanie and Janelle and the change makers that are in the Colors of Hope group. And we can't wait to see more of what comes, out of that initiative. And I'd love to have him back again to tell more stories and share more insights.
Yeah.
So important. Yeah.
Yeah, we will. We're going to get him back on.
Get comfortable.
Get comfortable. Oh. So the next one we're sharing was a recent episode 47, Nutrition Recommendations for PWS. This was a conference session from the 2025 United Hope International PWS Conference that we just had in Phoenix, Arizona. And this was a session presented by Michael Tan, who works at the University of Florida with Dr. Miller, and he very graciously allowed me to sit in the session and record it and put it out as a podcast. I do want to say that I think it's a testament to his influence and popularity in the community, as well as the emphasis on nutrition for our families, that this has been our, so far, most downloaded episode ever.
Love it.
I remember this was the first one that came out after conference, and I saw the download numbers, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at all
So
these new
exciting.
listeners we got from the
Yes.
conference. And then we haven't
Yeah.
had the same number. So,
I feel like I've seen growth though.
no, there's definitely been
Definitely
growth.
seen growth. Yeah.
Definitely growth.
But yeah, people really wanted to hear. A lot of people love Michael Tan in this
Yeah.
community and really want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
rightly
very
so.
justified. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the clip we have here is another montage, and it touches on quantity and portion sizes, PWS nutrition being a whole family approach, and then he also kind of summarizes some of his main points from the conference. So I definitely recommend, going back and listening to this episode. But here's our little clip.
So I do want to say portion sizes are hard to talk about with individual as a whole, because every single kid is different. Every single person is different. And even that same kid might need more someday versus another day. So it is highly, highly, highly variable depending on the kid, depending on the person, depending on the situation. What I focus on is, are they gaining weight appropriately and are they growing appropriately? I want families to think of this as an entire team approach. Please, please don't treat your child with Prader-Willi differently than other children in your household. I would prefer that everybody eat the same meal, moms, dads, siblings, whoever. It benefits the whole family. As you've seen, this is not a unique diet. Again, it will be a little more strict. It will be more strict for the child with Prader-Willi, but we just want to try to treat this as a family, as a team. Summary. Sweet tasting food. This is probably the biggest takeaway I want you to take away from today. It is not just sugar. Don't think of it as sugar as an ingredient. Think of it as sweetness, as a taste that we want to avoid. Smaller portions, especially fruit. Fruit is twice per day maximum. 0 or 1 is okay. Balancing meals. So don't be afraid of carbs. We want the right types of carbs, not too much, not too little. Think of carbs as a side item. Always serve with protein. Try to serve it with vegetables as often as you can. Variety. Please don't rely on the same foods over and over again. Don't be afraid to continue to offer non-preferred and new foods. Convenience. So you do not have to be super confident in the kitchen. You can still make balanced meals without being great in the kitchen. Please try to maintain flexibility in schedules. Special occasions, please keep them very, very, very limited. family roles. Parents, you are in charge. Okay. Please don't let your child rule the roost. Okay. Before you ask questions, I have a question that I know you will ask. Okay. If my child is starting VICAT or on VICAT, does that change anything with the nutrition recommendations? The answer is no. Nothing changes.
Oh, some clarity there at the end. Very
Yeah,
clear point.
helpful. hmm That's amazing that he's like, and you're going to ask it? Here it
Yep.
is. Here's my answer. Straightforward.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, a lot of really great information in that podcast episode. So I love the whole family approach.
hmm
I love the emphasis on the whole family. And, I cut out, there was an example of, that he had given of a family where the child with PWS had like eggs and toast for breakfast, and then the sibling had cinnamon toast crunch
hmm
or cereal, like some sugary cereal like that. And, he kind of called him out. I mean, they weren't in the room. This was just an example.
hmm
And he was like, your children, your siblings shouldn't be eating that either. Like nobody should be eating cinnamon toast crunch for
Right.
breakfast. Maybe special occasions or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I
I
don't
think
know.
that's great. I loved his phrase too of I think he said don't let the children rule the roost or something.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
that's some great words to live by.
Yeah. That
Just
is
in all forms of life.
yeah. That is parenting 101. Like start with that
Yes.
foundation. So speaking of VICAT, as he brought up, we, Carrie, as you know, have our first ever sponsorship.
Yeah.
So
Woo.
we just want to say thank you to Soleno Therapeutics, the makers of VICAT XR, for sponsoring this episode of PWS United. And while PWSA USA does not endorse any specific treatment, we do recognize the importance of sharing information about options available to the PWS community. And here is our first ever podcast ad.
To the entire Prader-Willi syndrome community, thank you. Your strength, advocacy, and unwavering support helped to make the approval of VICAT XR possible. We're honored to stand with you in this journey and committed to continuing the work together. VICAT XR, diazoxide choline extended release tablets, is the first and only FDA-approved prescription medicine for hyperphagia in adults and children 4 years of age and older with Prader-Willi syndrome, PWS. Common side effects include increased hair growth all over the body, fluid overload, high blood sugar, and rash. If you want to learn more about VICAT XR, please talk to your doctor or visit vicatxr.com.
So our next clip that we're going to listen to is from episode 31. It was called PWS Awareness Starts Here, Fundraising with Hope United and United We Brunch, and it aired on March 4th, 2025. This episode really was quite the foray into fundraising. It was filled with information and stories of how families have used fundraising as means to share their story, how they found community, and how they've supported PWSA in the process. Featuring our development team along with board member Kat Lucero, who's also a mom, and mom Michelle Hampton. It's a great resource for families interested in getting involved with fundraising. The following clip touches on the benefits of fundraising, how our team is available to help, and how fundraising offers people a chance to support you and your loved one.
The end of the day, we would love it if every event that was hosted in our community brought in, tens of thousands of dollars. But it's much more than just the dollars that are raised. It's about raising awareness. It's about feeling empowered as a parent or sibling or grandparent to really make a difference in the community. And I think for some of our families, and maybe our team can speak to this as well, it can really almost feel like your foray into fundraising or your foray into raising awareness is almost like a coming out party for your diagnosis in a lot of ways. We want to make real connections with people. So when somebody calls, whether they reach me on the phone or Pia or Katie or Sarah, who's often answering the phone, we just want to get to know you. We want to hear about your child with PWS or your teen, adult, whoever it is. We want to hear what motivates you, what kind of event you have in mind. We don't really have an agenda when you call to get you on a specific trajectory. We all kind of have different strengths that we bring to the team. There's a lot of great synergy. I mean, I want to know what the team thinks, but I think that's kind of how things work is people bring their ideas, their motivation, and then we just kind of help them suss out what the good, what event or what opportunity might be a good fit for them and offer them different tools to make that happen. People in our lives who maybe seem distant when we get our diagnosis, or they want you to know they're there for you, but people don't know how to help. They really don't. A lot of times you're right. It's not the people that are right next to us. It's not the neighbors and siblings. Sometimes, I have friends that I haven't spoken to since my wedding or college or anything who have come out of the woodwork when I've hosted fundraisers and made really generous donations and sent me really warm, supportive notes. People want to help and they just don't know how. And sometimes hosting an event, whether it's virtual or in person, really, really gives them a chance to show their support and to show up for you in different ways. So I think that's absolutely, absolutely true.
I really loved this one. I loved interviewing all these people for it. And I think you really see fundraising in a different light when you listen to it. And even just listening to Melanie's clip there, it really is about bringing the people close to you together and how they can, help you in your journey and educate them even, on different things that you're experiencing. It's a great way to kind of open that door. As they said, like a coming out party. I love that. So yeah, really unique takes on fundraising and the importance of it. So yeah,
Mhm.
great episode, great conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. And, letting people know that they're here to help support fundraising
Mhm.
and, they really do make it really fun and easy.
Mhm.
As
Yeah,
easy as it can be. I mean, yeah,
there's still some work.
there's still a little bit of
Like
work, but
like anything.
but it's worth it.
Yeah.
So the next clip is from, of course, another wonderful episode, Adults with PWS Advisory Board. And Stacy did these interviews and they're just so great. So our Adults with PWS Advisory Board is a committee of incredible people who work hard for this community, and they are adults with PWS, as the name says. And they show up in DC and their local legislatures to advocate. They attend PWS conferences. They meet regularly to discuss and make decisions regarding PWSA, and they graciously share their experiences of living with PWS. So the clip that we are about to share is pieced together from their interviews with Stacy, and it's featuring Sean Cooper, Connor Hyback, and Abbott Filson. And it includes some tips for individuals with PWS, the importance of self-advocacy, how Connor's dad helped him go to college, which I love that story. Connor told me that
Mhm.
himself one time, and what the advisory board does for the community. So we're going to roll that clip.
Yeah, we went down to DC in the DC fly-in to talk to our local representatives about what it's like to live with Prader-Willi syndrome.
And since I was not able to join, how did that? What was the experience there for me?
It was a great experience, giving my voice to the representatives, telling them the needs that we need to their lawmaking, and it was very, very beneficial to them and to us.
Cool. My one thing is I have to say it out loud that I am full after each meal, so I can hear it, and it goes to the part of the brain, so my brain that says, "Ding, ding, ding, you're still hungry." No, I'm not. I just ate. That kind of helped me, but also it helps to have support staff.
That we are unique, and if you have a child with Prader-Willi syndrome, it is or special needs, it's the greatest gift that you can ever have. We have many talents along with our struggles, but one of my strengths is I play chess. I love play chess. I'm great at it, and giving others my talent as well is my biggest strength.
And having played Witty, what has helped you coming with your college? And I know you went into the school and you got your degree, and who helped with that?
I wouldn't have been able to go to college and be able to successfully finish college if it wasn't for my father. My father came with me every day to college, and he sat outside the door, and just knowing he was in there supporting me was how I got through college. I couldn't have done it without him.
Us as an advisory board, we don't just come to fun places and play. We also take time and work and do a lot of work for pharmaceutical companies and other advocacy stuff, so we can make the lives of other people with PWS better.
I love them so much, Annie. They're amazing people. I
They
feel like
really
we've gotten to know them pretty well too in the last year, especially. And oh my gosh, their stories are amazing. Just their optimism and how much they do to help the organization and each other and other adults is just so beautiful. Like I literally was like gonna like have an emotional moment just listening back to that clip.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're incredible people.
I really love how Sean kind of became one of the
Yes.
interviewers with Connor, just that
It's
shows that
amazing.
genuine interest, and
Mhm.
I just I appreciated that.
Took over Stacy's job.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm the interviewer now.
Yeah.
I really implore people to go and listen to that full episode if they haven't. If you could pick one, I think that would be the one for me, honestly. Like we have amazing episodes. You should listen to all of them. But that one I had my husband listen to it, and I came into this job with little understanding of PWS. I don't have a, personal direct connection. So he kind of learns it through me. And that was the first time ever that he had the opportunity to hear from people living with PWS. And he felt like very moved and asked so many questions. And I think it's a great way to share PWS with people in your life. Just hearing it directly from, those experiencing it and the amazing lives that they lead. So I really resonated with
Oh.
with him, which made me very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you listened to that. That's very
Oh
sweet.
yeah. I was like, you gotta. It's the best. All right. So our next episode here is on what's the big deal about exercise. I love it. And it's episode 6 from September 3rd, 2024. And Kat Lucero, who has come on the podcast, I'm realizing several times now. She's so wonderful. Again, board member and a mom, and a certified integrative health and wellness coach, spoke with Stacy about the healthy and unhealthy ways we use exercise. Kat shared the many benefits exercise has on our physical and mental health, the variety of ways caregivers can fit exercise and movement into their busy lives, how children benefit from their parents' understanding of health and wellness, group exercise, and more. This was another one of our beginning episodes, and it was such an important topic to share with the community and continues, to be day in and day out. And the following clip touches briefly on ways to help coordination and moves into the importance of exercise on mental health specifically.
So that makes me think about our children with PWS who tend to have an unsteady gait. Are there particular things that you recommend for that balance and stability for them to be doing? And it may vary based on their ages, but are there things that you have seen be beneficial with your own child?
I mean, I've seen with Ronan with his stuff, I think that his coordination definitely has come with his PT. They have worked a lot on his core stabilization as far as like Pilates work. So that his core, I mean, if you think about your trunk, your back and your abdominal muscles, I mean, really coordination comes a lot from that. So his coordination has improved so much as far as that goes. And then just, you're using multifunctional muscles on, your dominant and I guess undominant side. So, like your jumping jacks or you're doing like, your scissor jumps or something like that, because you have to be somewhat coordinated to do, you're thinking about, okay, I'm putting my right leg forward, my left leg back, that sort of thing. And so
and doing movements on the slower end. You're trying to do them slower. But our kids are so lucky because, or it gets frustrating for parents too, that, we have so many appointments with PT, but it's so neat to be able to see how they've progressed. But I did find an article that is up to date. It did indicate that when a person has a exercise program that they are doing consistently, I mean, it's kind of like a duh factor, I guess. You're like, okay, I am happier. I feel good. And I believe Elle Woods and Legally Blonde might have said somebody that is producing endorphins, happy people, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're producing those endorphins, those happy hormones, then you just feel better. And you had said at the very beginning when you were talking about doing soccer and finding a league that, you just felt good doing. When you were finding something that you enjoyed doing, you just automatically feel so much better.
I love that
So true.
I love that she quoted Legally Blonde. Was that
Feels
what
like a cat thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute. Yeah, and just to always emphasize the connection between mental health and exercise. It's something that is easy to forget, I think.
Oh my gosh. So it's so important. It's honestly like our mantra in our house.
Mm-hmm.
If you exercise, you will feel better. It's words to live by. So, yeah, I appreciate Kat for coming on and lending her expertise into that. And, mental health in general, I feel like we've talked about it in other episodes as well that are also really, helpful resources, including one that we're going to share as our last clip. But
Yes.
it's such an important topic. We'll keep giving those reminders out there. We'll keep having episodes like that.
So, 2 more clips. And this next one is episode 12. And this was PWS parent Clint Hurdle shares advice for dads and personal stories. This episode I really loved, and I sent it to my husband, and he really loved it as well. I think it's really important for dads to hear from other dads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we'd like to put more of out there. So, if you're a dad out there and you want to share your story, let us know. So Clint Hurdle is a well-known name in the PWS community and far beyond. As a Major League Baseball manager and parent to a daughter with PWS in her early 20s, he became the national spokesman for PWSA. And in this following clip, he discusses how he processed the diagnosis, which is just a really touching, vulnerable story that I appreciate that he shared with us. And then he also shares some wonderful advice that he received about being a PWS parent.
I felt fortunate about, but it took its toll on me eventually, like it took its toll early on Carla. Carla did a lot more grieving and crying early.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember a period down the road, it had to be like 6 or 7 weeks after Maddie was born. I was going on a 4-day trip to Houston. We were just flying to Houston, coming back. And I got to the hotel that night, 9 o'clock, got in my room, unpacked my bag, and I started crying. I didn't stop till about 11 o'clock that night.
Oh, wow.
And I got up in the morning, and now I got to get my face together because I go to the park, and I tell the people I got allergies, and I go to the game, I manage a game, I come back home to the hotel, I cry again. I cried 3 straight nights. And don't know why, but I just got to the point where I just kept telling God, take it. We're good. We're going to be good. We're not fighting it. We're not mad. We've gotten through that. We were mad. We took our fist. We yelled, we screamed, we stomp our feet. And it's not changing. A birth defect is a birth defect. There's been no cure in the history of the world.
Correct.
So that's not to say there might not be one moving forward. But from our vantage point, we decided to do everything we could to plug in to the PWS community in Denver. But to this day, the hard part, Maddie never got asked on a date. Maddie never went to prom. There was a lot of things that you envision as a father, doing that I got great advice early on. It said, it's not your story. This isn't about you. This is about Maddie. And if you will pour into Maddie and be the father that she needs you to be, just like you are to your other children, they have special needs as well. He wasn't trying to be funny. He said they're going to have special needs as well. Listen to her. She's going to tell you what she needs. She's going to tell you what she likes. She's going to tell you when she's hurt. She's going to tell you when she's sad. And just walk with her. And Carla and I have been walking with her 22 years. And for all those things that I said, she hadn't had, there's been so many things she has had.
Yeah, I love that clarification at the end of that clip. Yeah, okay, so our kids aren't necessarily doing some of the typical stuff that we expect our kids to do, but they're also doing other things. Like they're doing other exciting things and beautiful things, and it's important to remember that. So I really liked that reminder.
Yeah. I love that Clint is so open about this with other dads. He often is our dad panel host or moderator, I guess. He holds his event every year and, is very open and tells his story at the hot stove dinner. Really any opportunity that he can take to talk in front of the community and talk to other dads, he will take it. And I know, resonated with so many dads. I think we receive many comments and emails just about how influential that he is, from some of these interviews we've done or from a panel from the past. And is also often willing to just get on the phone with a new dad and just talk them through their experience. So all that to say, Clint is an incredible person in our community. Just immerse yourself. I love that he said that. Immerse yourself in the PWS community. That's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, to end here, we have one more clip to share. It was our episode on self-care, self-advocacy, and gratitude from November 12th, 2024. Another incredibly important and valuable one. And this one we did with PWS mom Emily Felt. And we talked about what caregiver burnout may look like, various ways to practice meditative activities and why, the importance of self-advocacy and external support, what gratitude does for perspective and mental health, and how and why to keep showing up for yourself. So the following clip, pulled from a few points during the conversation, a few different points, touches on Emily's own experience with burnout, the importance of developing friendships, and why we need tools and self-advocacy to maintain good mental and emotional health on this journey as PWS caregivers.
It's one of the first things that falls off our list of stuff to do is, as a caregiver, our own friendships, our own interests, our own dance party with girlfriends, as Annie said. Those type of things tend to be the things that we squeeze out because, we still have to eat, we still have to sleep, and we have a lot on our plate. And I think it's important to remember that those things can be so energizing, and they're there to support us. Sometimes we're going to need it more than others, but we got to keep those things going. It's really important to incorporate self-advocacy into that framework of self-awareness, self-compassion, self-care, because so often we advocate a ton for our kids, but we don't apply that to advocating for ourselves. And in the PWS community, we have very specific challenges. I mean, I've had people to say to me in the past, "Oh, you're feeling burnout. Well, why don't you get up an hour earlier than your children and just have that quiet space?" And I've never been able to do that. My daughter wakes up reliably within 5 minutes, whatever time I get up. I can't have my quiet space in the morning. So I think it's really important that we remind people of that there's this inner piece in terms of self-awareness, but the outer actions that we need to take through self-advocacy can help us set up like a system of supports that can support us externally. And sometimes we have to have a lot of energy to put those things in place. But getting respite care, getting financial support from whatever government systems we are eligible for, investing in ourselves in terms of, babysitting if your child has the ability to be with someone external. Investing in our own self-care in that way can be really helpful because then we suddenly find like, oh, I can go on a walk by myself because now I have the external supports that make that a possibility. And if it's just me and my child all the time, then I suddenly don't have those possibilities. So self-advocacy is so important. And I think it's a piece of the puzzle that sometimes we miss because even though we can advocate for our children, we don't often do the same thing for our own needs.
I feel like Emily and I have a lot of conversations where she is encouraging me to get more services. I feel
This is
bad.
like a reminder for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, I need to
She's
do
like,
that. That's right.
did you call the regional center yet? No, Annie.
But you need people, you need to, have their community around you, make those connections so that you have people to push you to do those things. That's great that you have that, Annie. I'm glad, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Go, Emily.
Yeah. Yes, very, very blessed. I would say she's the first PWS mom friend that I made, and I'm very grateful. She's a really lovely, wonderful person, and it's
She
been nice
is.
to support each other through this.
Yeah, I was just going to speak more to Emily and how amazing she is. When I first started here almost 5 years ago, over 4 years ago now, she has been on the work group since I started, and she was always this very sweet, calming presence that I think I needed in this role. Not knowing a whole lot when I started. And she really was someone who gave me a lot of encouragement in the start and continues to. And just made sure that if I needed help or support, she was an email away, a phone call away. So I agree with you, Emily is a truly wonderful person. And I'm glad that she has these great insights and wealth of knowledge around self care, because that's something that we all need too. And she's very willing to share her advice on that as well, and encouragement. So, all around needed things.
Yeah. Yep. Another great episode to listen to, a lot to learn. So we hope that you enjoyed going through these clips, a little kind of walk down the podcast memory of the
Yeah.
last year. And hopefully if you haven't been listening, hopefully this inspires you to start listening, because there really is so much incredible information that we put
Mhm.
out. And we want to make sure that you guys know, if you have an idea, if there's something that you think would make a great topic for this podcast, you can always send us topic ideas. Our email is pwsunitedpodcast@gmail.com. So that's our podcast email, or you can reach Carrie or I through communications@pwsausa.org.
Please send in your ideas. Or if you are an expert on a subject matter that you'd like to impart on others, we would love to interview you. So let us know if you're willing to do that as well. Because
Yeah,
I think new voices too are really important here.
absolutely.
And yeah, there's so many people in our community, and everyone has, their own story, their own interests and specializations. And I think that we can, again, use this platform to share that in a unique and fun way. So
Yeah.
let us know.
And on that note, we do want to put a call out for single caregivers. We're trying to put together an episode of single caregivers talking about their experience raising someone with PWS as a single caregiver, because it's something that it's hard to speak to if that's not your experience. And like we were talking kind of behind the scenes, that it's easy enough to say, well, you should just, go for a walk in the morning, do some journaling, when you get up in the morning. And, as single caregivers, we imagine that kind of advice is very challenging, very difficult. So we would love to create kind of a discussion table with some single caregivers to talk about your experiences. And, if you have advice, if you have things that help you be successful, or just survive the day, um,
Yes.
we would love to hear that. But even just kind of sharing your story is important, because that's how, once we have more of an idea of what the experience is like, then hopefully we have a better idea of how we can support families and single caregivers. Yeah, so if that's you, if you're interested in sharing your experience on the podcast with some other caregivers, then you can email us again at that Gmail account or communications, and I'll put both of those emails in the show notes.
And just a little plug here to end. If you have not done so already, and you are a listener, if it's your first time, if it's your 56th time listening, please write a review or at least leave us a rating, because that is how we get seen more. That is a way that in the podcast world, they keep moving us up in listeners' algorithm, whatever they're doing. But it's really helpful. And it helps us to know, that you're out there, that you're listening, and that it's a great space for others when they come across the page, that they're gonna, get great insight from the podcast. So please do so if you have not done so already. We really appreciate it.
Yes. And leaving a review, leaving a rating is awesome. Leaving a review is very helpful. It does kind of pull more weight, but that can just be like one word. You just be like, great podcast. Like, it doesn't have to, like, I don't want people to feel intimidated about leaving a review. I've heard one podcast I listened to, they're like, put a recipe in there. Like, you don't even have to comment on the podcast, but we would like feedback, but whatever. Make it simple. But yes, that definitely, leaving that review, giving us a rating, both of those really help to get the podcast seen by more people, which in the interest of PWS awareness, is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
Well, on that note, Carrie, it has been a wonderful year doing this podcast with you. I'm really grateful that we got this together and we do it. And sometimes it does feel a little overwhelming, but I always enjoy it. I always enjoy recording with you.
I completely agree. And I hope it's doing what we intended for it to do, helping the PWS community and being another resource and friendly voices that help you know that other people get what you're going through. So yeah, hopefully we're here for forever, but keep checking back every Tuesday. We'll be here.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you want to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, visit www.pwsausa.org. And while you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. Don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.